There's always one girl that I can't stop thinking about, that I have to obsess over, that I have to think about before I sleep, that I have to think about while I'm trying to script YouTube videos, while I'm taking notes in history class. And there's a few ways that it can end. I can be obsessed over her and then slowly lose interest over time, and then the next girl comes along. Or I can be obsessed with her, shoot my shot, get rejected, and then get hung up over her, use her as gym motivation for a few months, and then, the next girl will come along. Or the most interesting option, I get obsessed over her, I shoot my shot, I get her, and then I lose interest. And then I find the next girl. If you can relate to that, if you can relate to the never-ending cycle, the never-ending loop of being obsessed with girls, my name's Jonny Self-Improvement. Stick around for this video. First off, there's one story I have which illustrates this perfectly. A bit over a year ago, I walked up to a girl at my school, got her phone number. Pretty girl, man, pretty girl. She was brunette, nice lips, nice, eyelashes and stuff. I don't want to get too weird, man. I don't want to get too weird. But she was a good looking girl. Got her number and I asked her out and I got hyped. And I got hyped because I got another girl's number the next day and she was, not gonna lie, this is kind of a dickhead thing to say, but the second girl whose number I got was prettier. So I texted her first to try and get her on a date that next weekend, I think. And she wasn't interested, so I asked the first girl, who was also still prettier. I don't want to be a dick, man, but she was also still very pretty. And then she said yes, so I was hyped, man. I was hyped. It had been a few months since I went on, it'd been actually more than a few months. April, May, June, July. It'd been like half a year since I'd been on a date at that point, so I was getting hyped, man. Anyway, I go on the date, we go to this fair, we go on rides, we get food, this and that. She really likes me and I have a good time. And we end the date, give her a hug, say goodbye to her. Her mom or dad or whatever is picking her up. And then I walk off and walk home. And as I'm walking home, pitch black sky with the orange light, the street lights, I'm just thinking to myself, and I think it was a strange feeling I got where I was like, damn, I don't know if I really like her. I don't think, like, she's very pretty. I had a good time. It wasn't like I dislike her, but it was just, it felt like there was something missing there. It felt like there was a connection that should be there but wasn't. But whatever, man, I still liked her to a degree, and she was pretty and she was a nice girl and she really liked me. So I texted her that night, whatever, we took some photos, so I sent them to her. And later that week I tell her, oh, I'm gonna take you on another date soon. But then, and to this day I don't understand what was going through my head, but then I tell her that I can't go on a date with her at this time because I need to focus on football. To this day, man, I don't know why I made that decision. At the time, I felt like I needed to focus on football, and if I was going on dates with her and I find like we became like a thing together, that it would distract me from that and I wouldn't do as good in the sport as I wanted to. But like looking back now, like what, like that doesn't make any fucking sense, man. I could like focus on football, do all my training, during the week, do my training during the weekends, and then one night a week or even just one night every 2 weeks, I could go on a date with her. I could do that. But no, I told her I can't do any dates right now. And it was over text, and she texted me and she seemed like she was understanding, but looking back now, it was a dickhead move on me. And then looking back now, she was probably upset about it. Like, cause obviously, why wouldn't she be, And then I just didn't text her or talk to her for like a month. And then a month and a half or whatever goes by, and football is done, and I text her, oh, you free this weekend for another date, whatever. And then she says she's busy. And I'm like, come on, you're not busy. We can figure out a time. Well, can you do this day or this day, whatever? And she can't. She's busy. Or at least that's what she said. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever, man. Whatever. Forget about her. A few months go by and I start thinking about her again. And I get filled with regret for that decision that I made. To say I'm focusing on football now. Because it was a dickhead movement. I could have still spoken to her at school, texted her, whatever. But I didn't. I just cut off contact like that for no good reason. And then months later, I was filled with regret, and I wish I didn't do that, man. And I was thinking of her again. I got obsessed. And I don't want to admit this, man. I don't want to admit this, but I have to say it. I have to say it for you, bro. Learn from my mistakes. But she posted on her Snapchat story. I had Snapchat at the time. And I replied to it. I fucking replied to her, man. It was a photo of her in the mirror, and I forget what the hell I said. I said, "You're looking whatever I said, man. It doesn't matter what I said." But I replied to her. I texted her. I swiped up on her Snapchat story and said some bullshit. And she said like, "Okay," or some shit. She wasn't interested, man. She was done, bro. She was not interested at all, man. But now I was obsessed again. When months before I had her, man. She was so interested in me, and I could have made something happen, but I chose not to. And I chose to just cut contact with her, but yet here I am, obsessed. It makes no fucking sense. And this connects to a quote from the book The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. And the quote, this is paraphrasing, but the quote goes something like this: "If you've ever gotten the woman you've wanted, you know that it's never as good as you hoped for, at least not for long. And yet you continue to be attracted over and over again to the same woman, or to different women." And that was me, bro. I got what I wanted. Wasn't as good as I hoped for. And then I, gave it up, lost interest, whatever. But then I came back, chasing the same girl months later. Cheers to that, man. Cheers to that. So the question is, why? Why did I do this? Why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? And what's the explanation behind this thing that you probably have experienced too if you've been watching this far into this video? And there could be many reasons for this, why we continuously get obsessed over girls and yet aren't interested once we actually get what we want. Childhood trauma, attachment styles, all kinds of stuff. Things that I don't even know about maybe. One reason is that we get caught up in the mirage of desire. What the fuck is that, Jonny? What are you talking about? I mean, we get caught up in that idea that if we can get that girl, or if we can reach this goal or reach that outcome, that we'll get something. Like something will change, we'll feel different, and we'll feel better. Whether that feeling is happiness or fulfillment or whatever you want to call it, whatever you call it. So then once we reach that goal or we reach that desire that we have, we get some type of good feeling, but it doesn't last long or it's not as good as we wanted it to be. Then we keep chasing. We keep chasing another desire, a new desire, right? A new girl, a new goal, a new outcome in search of that feeling. And it makes sense, man, because when we do get the girl, we have, it feels good, man. We can all look back to the first time you got a girl's phone number or the first time you asked a girl out, she said yes. Like we can look back to those times and just smile. Like I'm just smiling now, man, because it's just, those moments, man, they feel good. We get this blissful feeling of just, man. Or we look back to the first kiss we had, the first time we made out with a girl. We get a good feeling, we get a blissful feeling. But every time, it doesn't last. Every time we get what we think we wanted, it's not good enough. What I'm instantly reminded of is the first kiss I had, which went out with this girl, and I'd been on a few dates without kissing girls so far. So this was like a big fucking deal for me. I had my first kiss late. I think I just turned 16 a few months before. It was with a girl who was a very pretty girl, but very good personality. I really liked this girl's personality. I really connected with her. Probably the best personality of a girl that I've ever been out with. But anyway, towards the end of the date, we're dancing under the stars at night, holding heavy eye contact, and even just the look in her eyes that was looking back into me. It was just bliss, man. It was just the feminine bliss. I don't know how to describe it, man. That might sound kind of cringe, man, but I'm sure if you've experienced something similar, you know what I'm talking about. The beauty in front of you that you it's cutting right through into you. You're just feeling that, I'm not trying to sound like I'm off the damn CBDs here, but. And then when I went for the kiss, and the first kiss I ever had, it was a makeout sesh, which I don't think is a good thing, but it is what it is. That's how it happened, right? While it was happening, I remember thinking, maybe not thinking, because you're not really thinking when you're kind of making out, right? It's not really a thinking activity, but I remember feeling, oh, that's it, Not like a diss to the girl, I'm not trying to be a dick or whatever, because who knows, she might be watching this video. I think she's watched a few of my videos. It just felt like I overhyped it for myself. At least in the moment, it wasn't all that I thought it was gonna be, right? Which is a feeling that I've repeatedly been talking about. Then the next day, the next morning, and when I got home that night, and the next week, it was all I could fucking think about. I just kept thinking about oh fuck, man, that experience, man. I wish I was back there, even though while it was happening, it wasn't that fucking. And that's what gets us in that cycle of desire. We feel that bliss, but it doesn't last. So we get on the chase. We keep chasing that high, and we never get to hold on to it for too long. But what is that high? What is that bliss that we keep chasing after that we just can't hold on to? From reading The Way of the Superior Man and extracting out information, or what I've concluded to is that blissful feeling we have when we get the girl or when we make out with the girl, that bliss is a ripple of embracing life. Oh, Johnny, what are you talking about? What is this hippie stuff? Just calm down, man. Keep your dick in your pants. I'll explain. What do I mean by embracing life? Embracing life is living in the moment and fully appreciating it. It's presence and gratitude. And that's what we tap into when we achieve our desires. For example, when we're making out with that girl, we're present, of course, because like you're not making out with a girl and then thinking about the alarm clock that you gotta set for yourself tomorrow morning. Not like you're in the moment, right? You're in the moment. You're present and you have gratitude, man. Because you're appreciating the moment. You're grateful for what you're going through. Appreciating this moment, right? And you're enjoying it. And when you make out with a girl, when you get that date, that's what we're tapping into for a second. The achieving of our desire puts us into a place where we're present and grateful. And that's the bliss that we keep chasing after, but we can't hold on to it. Like I said, it's just a ripple. It's temporary. It's not the full thing. So we have that need that we gotta keep chasing this girl. That's the cycle. That's the cycle that leaves us feeling regret because we didn't fully appreciate the moments we had before because we were obsessed over achieving something that we didn't have then. So what should we do? Should we just give up our goals, not try to go after any girls, not get girls' numbers, trying to go on dates, trying to find a good high quality girl to be with? No, I don't think so. Even though desire causes so much of our problems, even though desire leads us to being unhappy in the present because we're thinking of what we want in the future, I don't think that's the solution. I don't think the solution is giving up desire. But I think there's two things we can do, or at least two things that I'm trying to do. One is understanding that once we do get that girl, once we do get that goal, it's not gonna solve everything. It's not gonna save us, man. And I think number two is to understand that what we really want is what we already have, or more so what we already have access to, which is the present moment. Like I said before, my theory on this, my theory through reading The Way of the Superior Man and my own experiences, is that bliss that we get from getting the girl, achievement, whatever, that bliss is a step down version of fully embracing life, which is presence and gratitude. And that is something that we always have. We always have the present moment. It's like we can't lose it unless we're dead. So we always have the present moment, right? We always have access to it, but we keep ourselves from being in our heads, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, getting washed up in the details of day-to-day life, getting waves of emotions taking us over. We get distracted from the present moment, but it's always there. And we can always bring ourselves back to it. And we can always be grateful for it. We can always appreciate it. That's what I mean when I say that we can choose happiness. I've said this before. I've said this in some older videos, and I don't think I fully understood it. And I think this is a better way of explaining it, presence and gratitude. We can choose happiness. I think that's what I'm gonna call this blissful feeling that we get from achievement. It's happiness. It's not mental health. I think mental health is a separate thing. Mental health is something you have to work towards. Mental health is in the same way like physical health. You have to keep it up. You have to do the right practices. You have to stay away from the wrong things. You have to live a certain way. But with happiness, I think it's something you can just choose at any moment. I think the only thing keeping us from happiness is ourselves. The bullshit that takes space in our heads that keeps us from living in the moment and appreciating this moment right here. And that's what I think happiness is. But this is what I'm calling it, man. This I think that's the best way to describe it. That bliss, right? That bliss doesn't sounds kind of gay. Let's be honest here. I guess happiness sounds kind of gay too, man. I don't really know. I don't know how do you market this as a masculine thing here. I guess all of it, man. It's spirituality or being present and meditation, all that kind of hippie stuff. It all just sounds kind of gay at the end of the day. But I think that's the cure here, man. It's understanding that, yeah, we have this drive of desire. We want that girl so bad. We want that girl. And how deeply you're enjoying existence while you're so-called waiting is how deeply you're going to enjoy your relationship while you're waiting for the next one. And the only advice I can give here, since I am still working on becoming more present and more whatever, the only advice I can give here is this. Feel that desire. Feel that obsession for that girl. But don't be ruled by it. Don't be ruled by it in the sense that don't let your desire for that girl ruin the current moment you're living in. Don't let that desire for that girl take hold of your actions. Don't let your desire lead you to doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing. Don't let that desire keep you from living this moment and making the most of it. And it's easier said than done, but We can always bring ourselves back to this moment. No matter how much we're obsessing over that chick and how much we gotta, oh fuck, I didn't see her all week, I gotta ask her out, I gotta do whatever. We can always bring it back to our breath. Like in meditation, we can always bring it back to our breath and let our breath be used as an anchor to the present moment. Taking a deep and full breath, letting our stomach expand, letting our freaking balls move because of how deep we're breathing. Letting your lower stomach, your upper abs, your chest, your shoulders all move from how deep your breath is. And then breathing out and appreciating what you have right here. As cringe as that sounds, as hippie and whatever that sounds, just try it, man. See how it goes. Don't be afraid to give up the good for the great. Peace out. Subscribe, bitch!